Hey, we are here. We are episode 3, Flex Zone podcast. And listen, I'm so excited. First of all, I'm Flex Alexander.
Hi, I'm Kennelia Stradwick.
I'm Roland Buddy Lewis.
AKA the Gray Goose. Yeah.
You know what? I don't like your tone right now. Okay,
That was Silverback.
Silverback.
It was
I
Silverback.
forgot it was Silverback. That's right. I forgot it's Silverback.
You know what, Flex? It's growing on your face too.
Yeah.
But it's on your
But
back.
it's not on
That's
my back.
what-
That's the
Okay.
difference. That's the difference.
You know, right now, I don't like the little tone coming from that side of the table. Okay,
we just call.
keep living.
All right,
So
keep
that-
living.
That's what my
Okay?
that's what my nanny used to say.
Yeah, that's right. Keep living. The object is to get gray hair.
Yes,
Cornelia.
that's the object.
Okay.
Yes.
Just keep
I-
living.
Well, she gets him, but
Sorry.
just
Yeah,
his
I got
name
mine.
is Rufus.
Please.
Every show we gonna talk about her sugar daddy addiction.
Please don't.
Yeah. So no, normally we will start with our current events, what's going on in the world, and all this thing. But we have a guest here. I mean, he's a friend. He's a friend. He's a brother. He's a mentor. He's a confidant.
Okay.
We're excited to have actor, producer, stand-up comedian, and now adding director to his repertoire. Mr. Chris Spencer is in the building, y'all. Come on, y'all.
Yay.
Make some noise for Mr. Chris Spencer.
Thank you very much.
In the building.
Forgot writer.
Writer? I did.
Writer.
I didn't say writer.
No,
you left that out.
My
Strong
bad.
black
my
dad.
bad.
Yeah,
Yes.
all
Yes.
those
Yes.
things.
Dad.
Dad,
Dad. Father. Husband. All
Husband.
that stuff. All that stuff, man.
Philanthropist.
So you
Love
say
philanderer.
Hey, boy, you about to get us all shouted here. Somebody will come from behind that curtain, bro.
Baby, what are you doing here?
we can edit that. Don't worry.
That was on purpose.
That was on purpose. Okay, you let it go. Let's go.
Look, lady, he forgot. Did he say comedian too?
Yeah,
he did say
Yes,
comedian.
I did. I didn't forget that.
And I wrote the joke because I'm a writer.
Yes,
On the fly. It's
Listen,
crowd work.
this man here, Chris Spencer, has worked with everyone from Barack Obama, Kevin Hart, and Robin Thicke.
Robin Thicke.
Yeah, Robin Thicke.
Scruncho, Lil G.
Scruncho,
I
Lil
mean,
G,
I don't limit
everybody.
myself to these jokes.
Yes.
Co-creator of Real Husbands of Hollywood, along with Kevin Hart,
And
and
White Famous
yes,
on Showtime.
which our own Buddy Lewis.
No, stop. Yes.
Buddy Lewis and Chris Spencer created that for Showtime.
We weren't proud of it though.
Listen,
It was snatched out of our hands.
did the check clear?
Not the ones we should have got.
Not the
Oh,
ones
right.
we
No.
were
You got
supposed
the
to
consolation
get.
checks.
Yeah, we got them.
We got
I still get them consolation checks. Like, oh wow, the green envelope. Oh,
Yeah.
$20.
Rice-A-Roni.
Yeah, you can tell the size of the check by the color, like the white, the green, and it's
Yeah.
like blue.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know when
man.
it's cheap.
No, but we got tricked out of that, the big ones.
Listen, hey, you know my story about one-on-one.
Right.
What happened? God rest her soul, Netta Boone. I was young in the game, created this show. Got to sell it. I sold the show to Green Black John Lowry, hired a writer, and the rest is history.
Oh yeah.
But it's something that we should.
Well, you know, the created
about
by is the most coveted position
Yes,
in Hollywood.
yes.
I got a little joke. You want to hear it?
Yes.
This is a joke. So, there's a writer.
Uh-huh.
He's trying to write a script. I think I've told you this. This is one of my favorite stories about created by. He's writing a script. He gets writer's block. He falls asleep. He wakes up. He looks on his computer. The script is written. He reads it. It's incredible. He gives it to his agent. His agent's like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing you've ever done." They sell it. The movie makes $100 million. His agent says, "Can you do it again?" He goes, "I think so." He goes back to writing. He falls asleep. He wakes up. The script is written. It's incredible. Gives it to the agent. They make the movie. It makes $200 million. So he's living high on the hog, and things started getting. He needs another hit. He's been spending all this money. So his agent's like, "Can you write another one?" He's like, "Sure, I think." So he goes back to write another movie, and this time he pretends to fall asleep. He wakes up. There's a little pixie on his computer writing. He said, "Hey man, what are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." He goes, "Are you writing my script?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Did you write my first script?" He's like, "Yeah." He said, "Did you write my second script too?" He's like, "Yeah." He goes, oh my God, I owe you everything. He goes, no, I don't want anything. He says, come on, man, how about $1 million? He's like, no, 2 million, 3 million. What do you want? He goes, no, I really just love the joy it brings to writers when the project is done. Come on, man, there's got to be something you want. And the guy goes, oh, well, how about a writer's credit? And the guy goes, get the fuck out of here.
Nothing.
Now, a lot of people, especially the audience, they don't understand that process. Now, just break that down for us a little bit, that created by it process, because like you said, so many of us have fallen victim.
So what happens is, because I learned, because after I had to fight for the Created by Credit for Real Husbands, because we did it as a sketch on an award show. Mm-hmm. And so other people who wrote on the award show had the ability to lay claim as a writer because they were a writer on the show. Mm-hmm. So I had to prove on my computer and go, this is, look. So what happens with the WGA is, and what you didn't know is, you and Yonetta went in and pitched it.
No, I went and pitched it and sold it.
Right. Okay. So you sold it.
Yeah.
You brought Yonetta in, but Yonetta put her fingers on the computer and typed it up.
Right.
And she can prove that Flex didn't do any typing.
Right.
Typing which is writing to them. Right. And so thus you didn't get Created by Credit. And it wasn't something you were fighting for because you assumed this shit is about my life. Yeah. And so I should naturally get a Created by. But that's not how they see it. And you never knew.
Now, had I had a treatment, whatever done with the story registered, would that have protected me? Really?
The script.
Wow. Oh, so
now it could have been about the life of a story by, but created by is some typing. And then if there's two more, if there's 3 writers, what's it called? You have to go through arbitration. To prove that, well, how all 3 of y'all do this? You know what I mean?
And that's how we won. That's how we had to fight
on White Famous.
On White Famous, because I'm sure it caused a stink because Chris and I had notes galore from the opening log line.
Yes.
And Buddy Lewis ain't no dummy. Yeah. We registered the idea that we had. It wasn't called White Famous. Actually, it was called Joker's Wild. And so we wrote out like. We had scenes, we had treatment stories, we had everything. So when it came time for the creative credit, they still were using some of the stuff that we had put on paper months, before and had registered.
Met these people,
and so we hadn't even met the writer who ultimately became the show running producer. He hadn't even met us. We never even talked to him. But they had excluded us out of the process. And he wrote, from what I understand, he wrote all the episodes. Even the writers that were in the room were like, hey, man, I didn't write nothing. He wrote them all. We were just in the room.
Wow.
Because he got credit on, not only
we were fired before that. Before the show went to air,
we got fired.
We didn't pick any of the cast. We were fired, and then they hired the guy who created Californication.
Right.
And if you saw White Famous, it looked like White Californication Famous.
Right.
It looked exactly like that show.
Yeah, Californication colorized.
So what would be the advice then, right? Let's say somebody does have an idea. Is it the advice as simple as put together the pitch deck, write the script, get both of those registered, and then demand that you stay attached to it?
When you hire, let's say you're not a writer, but it's your idea. You want to make sure in this meeting, when you're going to meet with writers, that we are going to share Created by Credit.
That's got to be.
So if I gotta write, and then I write Act 1, you write Act 2, whatever, or we're in the room together writing it, whatever that process is, whatever we can figure out together, that's gonna. If we zoom in, whatever. But I want Created by Credit with you. Right. Are you okay with that? No, good. How about you?
Right.
No, good. How about you? Yes. All right, let's go write this script together. Right. If that's something that's important to you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not important to the star. He knows he's going to go get his money, especially if he's a stand-up, because if this is my show and I'm Martin Lawrence, I'm going to make zillions on the road. I'm going to get endorsements. So this is not something created by, is not something that's important to me. You know what I mean? And back when you got your show, Flex, you, Martin, Curry, I don't even think Roseanne, nobody it wasn't an important thing because we were trying to be stars.
Right.
This writing thing became more popular as we moved along in this industry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
And that was the factory setting, right? Stand up gets you a show. The show is what boosts you. Tim Allen, like you said,
Yep,
Roseanne,
Tim. Right.
D.L. Hughley, you. It was that was what
Well,
you
really,
at the time,
aspired to do.
and one of the things initially about a lot of sitcoms where they were the created manifestations of their stand-up acts.
Right.
So like, Tim Allen, he did the tool-time thing. He did that in his act.
Right.
Roseanne talked about being a housewife in her act.
Yeah.
Curry talked about that stuff, that a lot of the stuff that was in the pilot, especially in his act.
Yeah.
So one of the things they used to look for was, what's the theme? What's your
Point of view.
Yes, your
Point of view.
POV
Yeah.
as a comic. That was a big thing so that they could create a show
Right.
about your
sometimes
stand-up
it'll be
act.
like based on the stand-up of
act,
Jerry
right.
Seinfeld.
Mhm.
Right.
But to get created by, there's got to be some.
You got to
Right.
do the work.
And
basically.
Woody Carter told me
Yeah.
a story. George Lopez told me an amazing story about his journey, his show. Sandra Bullock,
Right.
came out to see him, jumped on board, loved him. And the producer, I forget the EP who he worked with, luckily he had a great EP that was like fought for him and went to the network because he said they were not trying to give it to him. He was like, this is my life. Like this stand-up is my life. And the executive producer said, listen, to the network, he said, hey, I couldn't write any of this without him, without his input, his life. Like me sitting down, I would never be able to do it. He needs to get it, and that's how he got it. As for me, I wasn't at the time. I wasn't a stand-up. I was still kind of doing it, but I didn't. My deal wasn't based off of like a lot of those back in the day where stand up, get a show. This was something, a friend who was a teenage father, kind of mixed with, I saw LL Cool J Coca-Cola commercial and he was doing his daughter's hair. It was crooked ponytails. I'm like, yeah, that's a great show. And then, I just kind of merged the two together. And that's where it came from. And so, once I pitched it, it was really nothing going on. But, the initial deal was with ABC. And the fight was, well, not the fight, later it became a fight, but there was an initial script deal. There was a different writer, and that writer didn't really accomplish what I pitched, and they passed on the script deal. So about a year and a half later, I was like, yo, I told my agent I want to go back out with it, and I want to do the show that I, set out to pitch. So went out, pitched it myself, the original idea, and that's what happened. And I met with about 6 writers, and Unetta was, God rest his soul, was the one I chose. And it taught me a lesson, man. It taught me to force myself to write and be involved, because I would just be like, okay, all right, yeah, do this, do that, boom, boom, boom. But now I'm like, no, I'm writing everything out, deck, everything. I'm going back and forth. I got emails, notes, everything. Like I'm not
and
playing.
This is the next thing too. People have to remember too about the writing process, man. You at this level, a lot of comics need help sometimes writing. You know what I mean? And the people that are writing are creating. So and they don't have, sometimes comics don't have money to pay a writer what it really costs to create a script or to make an idea. So the one
sex comes in.
Yeah, exactly. or a creative credit. That's the way you can say, hey, listen, this guy, I'm gonna attach him to the end, because that's the way we can all stay attached to the project, even if you are not able to be working originally with a showrunner. So because eventually the showrunner, I don't care who it is, I don't care what you're doing, is if you're not a showrunning producer and you're writing for somebody, you're going to have to attach a showrunner, and they're going to put creative credit by or created by on whatever they've done, because they're going to be doing top and writing, putting the show together, formatting, et cetera.
So as far as like younger entertainers, because Buddy, you touched on something that I'm seeing right now. A lot of comics don't know what they don't know, right? They don't know to learn how to write. They think I'm writing jokes, that's writing. So when it does come to branching out in your career, right, trying to ease out of stand-up or doing something else, they don't know where to start. They don't know where to begin. So as far as like writing and getting into the business aspect, what would y'all suggest or recommend for comics to do, or where to start with that?
My class begins.
You know what's great about your generation is you guys, I think, are doing an incredible job of not waiting for the industry. Like you guys are creating. You've picked up your iPhones and I was about to say camcorder, and whatever your iPads, and you're shooting things. And your followers and your likes are attracting the industry, or some of y'all don't even care. Like I was hanging out with this kid this week, and he told me he's about to shoot his special. I was like, okay, how you gonna make money? He goes, I'm gonna put it on YouTube. I already got X amount of people following me. I'm gonna charge this. I'm gonna sell t-shirts, a mug, a hoodie, and blah, blah, blah. I should make about 40, 50,000. I was like, damn, he's smart. He said he gonna shoot it for 2,500.
Yeah.
So, and then that one will be his first, and then he'll do it in a bigger way on the second one. Like he's not waiting for HBO, Netflix, and Showtime to give him a special. He's like, I have a following. These people, let's say he has 100,000 followers. If I can get a third of them to pay $3, that's 90 grand. You know what I mean? So,
and
they're not waiting.
That's very real. And to piggyback on that, I say to a lot of the comics, don't be afraid to take a class. I mean, because a lot of them think I can write. No, you can't write.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in a little classwork on formatting and understanding script writing. It really, really helps.
Yeah.
Next thing is, listen, if you don't use your cell phone spell check and your and your grammar, don't give me your freaking script. And because some of these people, your script is not like how you talk. If you talk in trap vernacular, I'm not reading your script. Your script is written in trash. And
what if the script is about trap vernacular? That's what it's about.
I
think it's a little
you know what?
Too hip for buddy.
No, it's not good reading.
Whatever you're trying to get into, you should know as much about it as possible.
Sure.
So there's books. Everything is online. There's a master class that Aaron Sorkin teaches online.
Genius class. I took that one myself.
Yeah. So
there are and even
Sandra Rhimes has a class.
Even the who?
Sandra Rhimes.
Sandra?
Sandra, whatever.
Shonda.
Buddy has an issue with names. He can get nobody's name correct.
Flex's daughter was Armani for a whole day.
Armani for a whole day. Yes.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Shut up.
It was somebody else.
Corella.
I'm sorry.
Corolla, listen. You be Corolla.
and the programs, Final Draft is gotten literally to the point where all you have to do is type. It just does it for you. Your scene heading, like it just pops up, and that's the thing for me that I kick myself because I'm like, it's right there. There's no excuse,
Right.
And I've again a credit to your generation. Y'all are just doing it. Like, even if it's bad, like I've gotten some young cats that give me scripts and they're bad, but they're like, they're doing them. And eventually after 4 or 5 bad ones comes that great one.
Right.
And I'm still sitting there like, I don't know, maybe, which, I think where stand-up comes in to then that's the excuse to say, okay, well, I don't have to sit down and try to write that. I can just,
No, their ignorance is what's making them win.
Yeah.
They don't know.
And fearlessness. I think they have a sense of fearlessness.
But I feel like it's always been that. It's always been that we just didn't get to see it. It's magnified now because now you can put your ignorance out on Instagram. Before you was just ignorant around your crew at the comedy club in the green room. You were ignorant, but nobody really paid attention. Now you could just blow it out there.
Yeah. Now in the stand-up world, what do you think, Chris, is? Because I heard your interview on Comedy Gold Mines, which I think it was genius. It was amazing. Just, and you said some things that I never heard you say. And I took away from it, like, there's this part of you, this like, because you should have a special, plain out. You've written for everybody. You've helped everybody. but there's a part of it's like there's another part of your career that's taken over that's pulling you away from the focus and the time that it takes to build that road work, all that stuff. It's like, okay, now I'm directing now boom, there's going to be another one. I'm going to direct something else.
Right.
And when does that time come that you say, okay, I'm putting all this aside, which is bringing in loot,
right, to
go on the hope of,
right,
you know what I mean?
So that's where I'm, like you've heard in the interview, I was torn, but we've been doing dates. And I've just had to find the time. You know what I mean? I can't wait anymore. And I can't say it was an excuse. I've had opportunities to do a special, but I wasn't ready because you can't become a great comedian doing 15 and 20-minute spots in Los Angeles, right?
Right.
And sometimes our audiences are spoiled, and you got to go see for example, I did Memphis. I'm used to doing shows on Sunset. I'm like, yo, is this private school money crazy? And they was like, huh? I was like, where my vegans at? They was like, nigga, we fry salads. So some of the things that I'm used to saying here, you have to go around the country and figure out if I am going to do that joke, really dig into my point of view of that topic, because maybe not everybody in this room is eating tofu. You know what I mean? So it was eye-opening. And that's why you have to be on the road. You got to know what jokes are going to be universally accepted, even if the topic isn't universally accepted. You know what I mean? Like, I have to know that this material works in Tuscaloosa as well as in Brentwood.
Yeah, and you're right. It is very difficult to get that time here in LA. The deepest amount of time you get here is 20 minutes. And they're like, oh, you're headlining. So you can. But, you know, even though places locally, like, you can drive down to San Diego and kind of get a similar effect, right? Because you go to San Diego, they don't believe what we believe up here. It's a different vibe.
Right, no, so you step out, San Bernardino, Bakersfield, whatever, even Pasadena.
Would you venture to say, I hate to say it for real people, but not real people, but it is not Hollywood jaded. It is people who work Monday to Friday or whatever and say, look, I'm going to this show. I'm buying my ticket and I'm going to have fun, not going to see who's in the audience. Or
exactly. That's what it is. It's an actual date night. It's an event. You buy an outfit to go to the comedy club. You pay your tickets. It's date night. You get food at the spot. Like, you coming out big bucks to go to a show versus here people go because they know Chris is going to pop in. Flex going to be there. Oh, maybe I'll see Bill Burr tonight. Oh, I heard Dave Chappelle going to be up here. And let me go and see what he's talking about. So it is a different
I'm really offended
approach.
I wasn't included.
Buddy.
I like how she looked you in the eye and still didn't say nothing.
I looked at you and said
Flex
Bill.
Bill Burr.
I was like, Bill Burr.
And Bill Burr. Yeah, I'm just,
I'm sorry, buddy.
It's okay. It's all right.
Okay.
Yeah, I
okay.
understand.
No, but I hear you. So what do you feel like your special, because, right now I feel like people are trying to do different things with their special. They feel like they got to stand out versus just hit them with the material that's going to kill. What do you feel like you want your special to look like in regards to
unlike
that?
them, I don't really believe in the gimmicks. You know what I mean? But I am going to start off the first 5 minutes on fire.
Yeah.
Then I have a green screen after they put the fire out where it's going to feel like I'm in Africa, right?
Black Panther, you're going to do
Not really Black Panther,
Okay,
but like more East Africa, right? And I want to be feeding people as I'm doing my act. And I know, I don't know. I mean, I've thought of different things about. It's really about that microphone and you and them people, right? Like, I've seen some beautiful backgrounds and well lit sets, and that's great. But it's about them jokes. It's about those stories and the people connecting with you. And so my whole goal is just to connect. You know what I mean? I want to be able to connect.
Now, is it something you think you would, because again, days of old, well, not say old, but when specials came up, like when to get an HBO special was like the shit back in the day. If you got an HBO special, it was like, you are out of here. So that means you got HBO coming in, putting up the money, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
We're at a place now where, hey, I can get an investor or I can do it myself.
Right.
Is it something that has crossed your mind to say, you know what, hey, I can get these people to back me, or I just do it myself?
Right. No, so I've already have offers. and from people to do it, to produce it.
Yeah.
And I've talked to a couple of studios that have said, yes, we will put it out. So it's all on me right now. So I plan on shooting something in June, whether I'm ready or not.
Right.
Like I've said, June, I'm shooting something.
Yeah.
And it might be the dopest 8-minute Netflix special you've ever seen. Did he just do his Jimmy Kimmel set on Netflix? So I'm doing something, whether it's an hour, 42 minutes, or 17 minutes, I'm doing something in June. Because as I'm watching these specials now, people call them hour specials, but sometimes you look and go, he only did 43 minutes.
43 and a half.
Yeah.
Credits, they do a little skit at the beginning, they travel, they
So-
drive into the location.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, whatever it is, the shit was fantastic, and nobody's going, pause. Wait a minute, he owes me 8 minutes.
Yeah.
All we know is we laughed and we enjoyed, and now he's selling tickets or she's selling tickets across the country.
Yeah.
And that's what all I want to. I want to get to a point where if I can sell out 2,500 seats around the country for the rest of my life, that's great.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris,
I don't care about being super rich or being Eddie or Kevin. No, I swear to God. It's just too many headaches. We've been around these people.
Exactly.
Like, we're eating lunch, and then people want to sign autographs and do all that. I don't need all that. I just want to play golf.
Yes.
Chris, stand-up is great, and we've sort of came up together, and I've watched your career just blossom, man. What is it about stand-up that feeds the need as opposed to the other
Produce, right, direct.
right,
yeah.
and all those other things that you are very, very good at.
Because in stand-up, I am the writer, star, producer, and director every night.
Yeah.
And then Damon told me this a long time ago, which I'm really, really starting to understand, is he said, you're never going to be great until you can appreciate the silence. So now I love being on stage and making it get real quiet.
Yeah.
And they're just listening and listening. And then I can take the pin out the grenade and throw it and go, boom.
Yeah.
Like, that's exciting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that control. Dave Chappelle is probably the greatest at it. He'll tell these not long-winded stories, but he tells these long stories, and then he just starts throwing these little bombs that make the crowd go, wow, this is great. You know what I mean? It's going back, like, I think for a while with Def Jam, the jokes had to come fast, like back. It wasn't like Richard and Damon Wayans even would tell these long stories and do characters. And not that I do characters, but I like being able to tell these stories and have people sitting at the edge of the seat waiting to see. Almost like even with the little story I did about the writer and the creator.
Right,
like,
right.
I know y'all were going, this shit better be funny because it's taking a long time. But it comes with a nice punchline, and you're like, wow, that was interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, do you feel intimidated, or not even intimidated? Do you feel on guard now, especially with stuff going on with now content and stand-up is being critiqued, and what we're saying is being watched? Do you feel that pressure, or are you just like, whatever, I'm just going to go out here and do what I'm doing?
I'm not that type of comedian anyway, where it was like I was saying things that are that offensive that I have to be worried about. Damn, I got to get rid of that F word joke, and I can't talk about this culture. Like, a lot of my stuff is about me and my family and observations that are really close to me. And I don't celebrity bash. I don't talk down about anybody except my family. So if I'm going to get canceled, it's going to be the people who live with me. Daddy, we're out of here.
And I think, and that's the brilliance in it. I think we've done shows together, and I've been around comedians, I won't say the name, that I had one comedian who has barely been doing comedy long enough, come to me and say, because I said a joke that had the same subject that he had, and he's a father, and I'm like, dude, we're both fathers, we're both husbands. Like, and the great thing about doing shows with them was that we both have similar lives, but different perspectives.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he and I both have a daughter and a son and a wife, but his stories and his interactions with them are totally different than mine.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing, right?
Like, he loves his kids.
Oh,
But let me tell you
I just like mine.
I
I gotta tell you a funny story though. So with me, it's been and I kick myself, but it's been a forever, on again, off again. Got back on fire. 2018, 2019,
we was
killing. Me and Buddy had just finished off a great weekend at the Baltimore Comedy Connection. Boom, getting dates on the book for 2020. Then the pandemic hit, whatever. But I got into a place to what he was talking about. He was like, Flex, just take your time. Tell a story, because when I came back, it was like I had a Def Jam.
He was on a unicycle. He had fire.
I gotta get these jokes in. Hit him.
We haven't been up in a while. You want to smash, and that silence is scary. It's like, wait, why are they quiet? Are they not laughing at me?
Yeah.
So we have a comedian that I won't say on here. Right. I was like, yo, you were doing him tonight. He's like, got you.
You ever talk and be down the block?
I was like, yo, you were him.
And I had a can of Celsius, so I was like on 1,000.
Which is like Red Bull.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of what he's talking about, because when we did Baltimore, I think when we did Baltimore Comedy, that was from 2018 up, I was like, yeah, I'm here now. Because I did like an hour 15, something like that. I mean, smooth. I did like smooth and took my time, and I just always thought about that, man. And I think it's so important.
He's such a good. Have you ever seen him do stand up?
Oh yeah. We did a couple of spots together, and I think I've doubted myself. I think is half the battle,
right? Sure, right.
And the fear, of saying like, man, am I, talking about what's current, and I get out there and I see some comedians, I'm like, shit, they ain't talking about nothing,
right?
And I've changed. I only talk about, again, my family stuff I've experienced, because I remember years ago, a good friend of mine, comedian Cool Bubba Ice, way back in the day. I used to do impressions. That was my act. I come out. I would do Edith, Archie, Edith. I mean Jesse Jackson. I mean Bullwinkle. Just random stuff like Bullwinkle selling drugs. Then you rookie, you better give me my money.
Black Rich Little.
I mean literally. That was my act. I do a show with Cool Bubba Ice. He goes on before me. He does every impression that I'm gonna do,
right?
And I was at the point of and not that he did it maliciously. That's cool. But
he is an impressionist.
He's an impressionist, but it taught me a lesson. And I stood there and I was like, what am I gonna do?
What am I gonna do?
What am I gonna do, Rookie? What am I gonna do, Rookie? I don't know, Archie. So it just forced me to switch gears. And I remember I was dating this girl at the time. I was engaged and broke up and everything. And I remember going to do a show at this club called Nagasaki's in Long Island that Garfield was the host.
Garfield.
And
oh my God.
Shout out to Garfield.
My man, shout out to
Garfield.
Garfield.
I get out there and I just start talking about what I'm going through right now with this girl. As if she wanted space. She wanted space. Well, she wanted to do a backflip. She wanted to park a car. And I was like, whoa, that is it. And I think connecting to that and to what he was saying, when you talk about what's real to you, you can do, you can anything.
Yeah.
And you know what's great? I remember Damon told me, once you start talking about yourself, you connect with people and you'll get those different handshakes after the show. They're like, yo, I really felt that. That was great.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, you talk about Damon. This is and when you talk about other comedians, you watch, you see what they do. I never forget one night. This is one of the greatest comedy lessons I ever got was from Damon Wayans. I'm in the Comedy Act Theater, and Robin Harris has destroyed this room for an hour, 2 hours. He's going up, killing babies, kids, killing. So he's getting ready to leave. And he puts Damon Wayans on, and he gives him the most whack. Robin used to get those whack-ass introductions, that were comedy. Like, coming to the stage, this next boy, he one of them whining, what his name is? Okay, he coming up here. Y'all might have seen him, and if you haven't, fuck him. I'm leaving. Give it up for Damon Wayans. Damon Wayans. And he walk out joking and walk out. When Robin walked out, if there were 300 people in there, 150 of them walked out with Robin. Damon comes in, y'all, and it's got to be 11:45. They've been there since 8 o'clock laughing. Damon went on stage, and went to work. He was hitting them with, this is right before his special. He was practicing for that first HBO special he did. When I tell you, he was still to this very day, hair on the back of my head. I was like watching this dude, slay the room. Yeah. Those 150 people that stayed gave him a standing ovation when he walked out. And what it taught me was that no matter how high you think you've taken the room, there's somebody that can come in and bring that heat. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there, you know, as a young comic, you sitting there going, "Oh shit, I ain't shit. I'm never gonna be." Yeah. You know, and you get a lesson, man. You gotta learn. This is how you work. Late at night, it doesn't matter who's going on. It doesn't matter what's happening. I'm in my zone. I'm gonna do my stuff. I'm gonna be me. And Damon went in there, and I tell you, I saw him. Probably this was right before the pandemic started. I saw him walking down the street, and I go, "Yo, man!" I said, "Yo, man, do you remember that night you came into the comic theater after Robin?" He's like, "Nah, man." I was like, "Man, I'm still in awe about that night." And I said, "Man, you know, that's always where I want to go. Mm-hmm. You know, like when you get on stage, this is where you want to go."
Some people have the ability to change the molecules in the room,
right?
And then sometimes, if there's a high energy act that went on before you, you don't want to jump into that energy,
right?
Daryl Heath, who was a good friend of ours, was the best at it.
The best.
I remember we went to Laugh-A-Palooza in Atlanta. They were doing a special, and we went to the Uptown Theater, and they kept talking about this guy named Earthquake. I was like, "Why they call him Earthquake?" They go, "You'll see." This place was bedlam. It was actually shaking. The paint was coming off the wall.
Sweat was coming out
yes.
of the wall.
And I saw Daryl. I was like, "What you ready to leave?" He said, "I'm next." I said, "Are you fucking crazy?" He goes, "Nope."
Yeah.
So imagine this place is in an uproar. He goes up, and he used to do something like, he'll go, "How y'all doing? Y'all good? Everybody good. That's a nice shirt you got on, man." So now you have to lean in and listen. What is he saying? Yeah. And then he would just slowly just throw these diamonds
up the heat.
And then he would just go ding, 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 ding. And then the whole room is in the palm of his hands. But he didn't jump into Earthquake's energy. He created his own energy.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen? I mean, I have literally been in the rooms where comics changed the room.
Yeah.
I watched one night. We were in a Comedy Store, and this is when Robin Harris was beginning to his career, his ascension. And before he passed away, he was going to do a shoot his special, of course. Mm-hmm. And he went to the Comedy Store, and this was when Andrew Dice Clay was Andrew Dice Clay. I mean, he was Clay, you know, with the cigarette, boom, you know, fucked her. You know, he's on a roll. Mm. I mean, Comedy Store roof was off the chain. Robin goes in there, and you're thinking, you gonna follow Clay? When I tell you Robin Harris put them things on the stage, it was so loud. And it wasn't like it was a crowd of black people in the room. It was just, you know, people in the room. It was a mixed crowd. When I tell you Dice Clay had to come back into the room, like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Because he didn't really know Robin.
Right.
And he came back and he was out in the hallway in the comments like, what the fuck? Who the fuck is this? Like, he couldn't believe somebody could follow him. Yeah. And I'm telling you, Robin Harris killed that room. I was like, Well, Robin Harris is the shit. Yeah. And next thing you know, Robin Harris was on 3-4 movies. He was on the roll, man. He was on the roll.
Is there any comedian that you wouldn't follow?
So it depends on where we are. Mm-hmm. In Los Angeles, I'll follow anybody.
Right.
But if we're in Mobile, Alabama, I'm not going on after like Arnez J or comics that's their world.
Right.
Like you have to have some sort of respect. Like, yo, Bruce, where are we? We're in like
the 559. Bruce, you win.
I have nothing to prove. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on as early as possible and
I'm not going up behind. You're not going up behind Ricky Smiley in a church crowd. Let it go.
Yeah. That's just that's
plain. Let him have it, bro.
But there's a way to do it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
why?
Sometimes you have to. Like if you're the guy that has to come, but you gotta feel out the room.
Yeah.
And just be ready to change the model. I think I got good at that from hosting. Yeah, right, because after I had to go up after everybody who just destroyed, and so I had to figure out a way to jump in there and into their tidal wave and then create my own. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, depending on where we are, you might not want to follow Sebastian Maniscalco at the
Long Island,
and
or Scarsdale
at the Ravioli Festival. Right? I'm not gonna follow Bill Burr in Philly.
So do y'all, especially when you think about like headlining and picking features, right? Do you think about that? Like, I want a feature that's going to challenge me. Do you want somebody to whoop your ass every night? Or are you just looking for somebody who's good to get along with on the road? They can kind of help, maybe punch
First of
up
all,
some stuff.
if they can't play golf, they're not going out.
They're not going
out. No, we want that heat in front of us.
Yeah.
Because you want that audience. It brings you to the next level. So it's like there's some comedians we know, they just want the room to be lukewarm and listen, what are you going to talk about? Okay, I don't want you talking about George Bush. Don't talk about your kids. Don't talk about you going to Catholic school because I do that.
Yeah.
No, you talk about whatever you want and then I'll adjust. You know what I mean?
I've been on, back in the day, like when I sit back and I think, I'm like, yo, I was rolling with some heavy hitters, like, really before, like, with Chappelle, and I remember he's at the Belly Room one night, and he's up there, and he's like, Flex, remember my Aquaman joke? And I'm just like, it's out of nowhere. I'm like, I used to roll like that when in Boston Comedy Club,
the
Cellar, like we used to hit
Uptown.
all these spots, Uptown Comedy Club, and I think one of the things that makes him great, but also that made Richard great, is even in the space of when you feel like you've either bombed or you didn't do a great job, or how do you continue? And I remember the story about Richard shooting, I think, Live on the Sunset Strip, and he did 2 shows.
That first night was terrible.
First night was terrible. They said he came out the second night, everything was on. It was like, the first one was so bad, he apologized to the people. He said, man, I really wanted this to be good, and it's some bullshit. So next night, it was like a total different person, And I remember seeing Chris Rock, who I have the utmost respect for. He came to the Uptown Comedy Club, and they put it on his ass. I mean, he got up there, and back then, Uptown, it was merciless, brutal. But he went through it, boom, 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 went through it, and it was like nothing. And then my managers at the time put me on after him for that training to, okay, now you turn the room around or whatever. So I went out, you haven't know. So I was like, that. Did a couple of hitch kicks. But then, I finished, and, he was still there, and he was outside, and, he was, where you headed? He was going to do another spot, like nothing. Like, oh, well, didn't work here. You know what I mean? And I think that too has always been, something that signified greatness to me, because I know I've had rough sets, and I'm sitting there like, man, do I really want to do this shit? Like, rough. Have you ever gone through that?
Absolutely. Yeah. But you got to get back on the horse. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And anybody that tells you they haven't is either hasn't been doing comedy
they're
long,
a joke
or they're
thief.
a freaking liar. Because until you've bombed and really had a bad set, it's like Michael Jordan used to say, you can't win until you failed.
Mm-hmm.
You can't until you know what doesn't work.
Right.
How are you gonna if you lying to yourself saying I'm killing every night?
Yeah.
And then you because you're gonna run into one night.
Yes.
I guarantee you're gonna run it. It's gonna be something on your mind, or it's gonna be something going on in the audience mind that you don't know about. You don't know about the school bombing that happened 2 hours ago, and everybody in the room is still suffering from what happened in town.
Right.
Sometimes you don't know this stuff.
Yeah.
When was the last time you had a bad set?
Yesterday? No, I'm kidding.
No, I remember my worst set. It was at the Comedy Union. The lights went out. The power went out. Ian's was like, no, keep the show going. We're gonna keep going. Flashlights. He had like some lanterns.
He don't be playing. He said, we got to sell these
There
plays.
was no microphone. The crowd was a Friday. The crowd was already pissed. They couldn't cook. Like, it wasn't no chicken.
Oh.
And I was just up there eating straight dookie.
Well, that don't count.
But it was really
That was
bad.
kind of
Like,
out of your control.
Right.
Yeah, but I was like, I'm done. Like, I literally got in the car and I was like, I'm finished with this. I didn't move out here for this.
But
it was awful.
I've had mine.
I think the other thing is when you do, if you're doing a weekend or you do several shows or whatever, I think the dopest thing in the world is each crowd laughs at something different. Mm-hmm. In a different spot, and a different, and that's the thing, getting your timing back is because you get programmed into saying a joke a certain way and expecting to laugh there, but then sometimes they're not laughing until later. Like, how do you handle, if you're doing 2-3 nights, like we did Tommy T's,
right.
and it was amazing shows, but I noticed, I'm like, yo, they didn't laugh here, they laughed there. Right. You know what I mean?
You just have to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, but before we go, I was there for one of Buddy's big bombs, which was televised, and it was so unfair.
Oh no.
Because Buddy had a whole bit about lens crafters. Fucking brilliant bit. And out of nowhere, Jamie Foxx, who's hosting, decides to ad-lib a bit about lens crafters. And he's never seen Buddy's bit, so he can't. Right. He just all of a sudden, I don't know if somebody in the audience had some glasses. He did a whole thing on lens crafters. And then the lens crafter guy was next.
Come to the stage.
And the guy before me, I had a joke about was it taking pills, taking older dudes taking pills. Mm-hmm. He did a joke that was just, so it's like 3 people, 2 people in front of me, and I'm, you got your stuff all on the teleprompter. I'm trying to go, that's when you're little, you get crazy because you're seeing all your material being done and you're like, let me self-edit. Fuck the teleprompter. I'm gonna just fuck that. I'm gonna just try to create a new set. And I'm sitting there watching the teleprompter. In my mind, I'm going, fuck that. But you're looking at the teleprompter and man, it got bad. And man, it was terrible as fuck. I was so mad because and then that's another lesson you learn because I really hadn't gone to Laugh-A-Palooza to perform per se.
Right.
I would actually gone there to write, and they were like, "You're gonna perform." It was kind of like a dual thing.
Right.
I'll never do that again because when you're in performance mode, it's different from when you're in writing mode for someone else. When you're trying to create material for someone else, there's a different thought process, and so you're not concerned about your set. I'm thinking I'm superhero, man. I can do this and I can do my own shit too. And then, man, I went out there and it was the death of 1,000,000 hot cats on a taping.
That happened to me at Def Jam. God rest his soul, Ricky Harris. It was back at a time where, I didn't get along. He didn't get along with a lot of comedians, especially back east or whatever. But I'm so glad we got to just really clear all that up and show love, before he passed. But I remember doing Def Jam. It was my second Def Jam performance. And I had, this joke was a killer. It was me. I was like, man, I knew that no matter what went on, I get to that joke, it's over. Because I'd been killing all across the country. So the joke was about me and dating an older woman. I was saying, man, I had an older woman turn me out. Boom, boom, boom. And, I said, I thought I was doing something. And I would do this thing. I have to cut the orange and put it down here and suck on her navel. But I said, but then she laid me on my back. She threw my legs up. And then as soon as I say that, the audience was like, oh. And then basically says, the butthole.
Blew my butthole like a tea kettle.
I was like, and then I said, I forget what the joke was. I was like, something, but whatever. Killer. Standing behind it backstage, right before you go out. Ricky's doing his joint, boom, boom. He walks aside, boom, boom, boom. And he kind of looks and he comes back, yeah, man, let me tell you something, boy. You ever had your licked? I was like,
he looked you in the face and did your shit.
Laid down, did the whole legs up, scream.
Then seen you do it?
I don't know. He must have somewhere. I don't know. Got up. Oh, all right, come to the stage. He's from right here in New York, y'all. Give it up flat. I walk out. It was like, yeah, have a good set. Like, you mother. And I'm not going to lie. I was thrown. Because I was so locked in. And I dug back and grabbed another joke, but it wasn't as powerful. I wasn't as confident with it. And it was just an okay set. And I said, never again. I said, I'm going to be ready. But that right there, That was some.
But how could you get ready? I mean, you were ready.
I was ready. Yeah,
exactly.
And how intimidating was Def Jam? Because watching it as a young person, you just see the sets. But hearing the stories from people who were actually on Def Jam, it sounded like it was a very scary experience.
Let me tell you something.
They said the crowd was like just
I was never. I did the Apollo. I did Showtime at the Apollo, which was 20 times worse than Def Jam. And and getting training at Uptown Comedy Club, which was 30 times worse than the Apollo. So
and the Peppermint Lounge.
The Peppermint Lounge in New Jersey was.
I got a glass thrown at me at the.
Oh yeah, Peppermint Lounge. Yeah, they will. Yeah, you'll get some shit thrown at you. So, a Def Jam. The thing was, and I'm still messing with them to this day. They put me through the ringer. Bob Sumner, Stan Lathan, they just would not. I kept having an audition. I'm like, why am I auditioning? Y'all know I'm one of the hottest comics out of Uptown Comedy Club. Like what? And they, other people are doing it. That I'm like, who is this? And this, some people's their first TV appearance doing it, and I was pissed. And then finally, they give me the call to do it. But I was so pumped and amped and ready that I was like, by that time I did it. I wasn't scared. I was just like, man, I'm gonna kill this shit, But yeah, it never intimidated me at all.
Now I'll tell you what was a little intimidating about it. Well, for me, the first time I did it, Russell to this very day, this is a funny thing.
It's Russell.
Anyway, he's talking to all the comics, man. So he's and I guess my show was the not the first day, but the second day. So he comes in and he's like, listen, man, you better do your roughest shit out here. This audience is fun. I'm like, you're like, you're like, listen, this whole thing, this crowd is rough out here. Are you good? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you going? And you're like, wait, really? Seriously? And then you watch from the wings, you come early and you're seeing people, you're seeing some people get it, and but the people who are dying is not what's intimidating. What's intimidating is watching somebody blow the roof off the room. That's even more intimidating.
Yeah.
Like you watching a Dale Gibbons who people thought, you're like, yeah, ain't that funny. And this woman tears the freaking roof off the room.
The most iconic moments.
I mean, when I tell you there were people out there that were throwing haymakers, and now you got to go out and follow some shit.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you never knew what the order was when you're seeing it, sometimes that wasn't the order of the way it was shot anyway. They cut and put and moved and, because they're trying to make the show. They've even put comics that weren't even on, didn't even tape that day.
Right. Yeah.
They've moved and switched and we want to put, set, make it. So that was what was intimidating sometimes is you watch comics who've gone on before you, you want to do your best, and they have literally shocked the house.
Yeah,
you like this. Oh shit, that's what was intimidating. Yep. It wasn't, and some of these people you've never seen before. You made friends with a lot of those people. You became close. Like oh man, like the first time I saw JB Smooth do Def Jam, man, we became friends. I was like, dude. Him whipping that damn stool.
Yeah.
And the comics, that was the best thing about Def Jam too, is the camaraderie sometimes you made with the people who were on your show or who taped that day. You got to become friends and you've been friends for life. Like, hey man, I met you.
Yeah, we met
at Def Jam, and so it was that was the great thing, and
Buddy also wrote and produced on Def Jam.
I've done it all.
Okay, buddy.
I'm just telling our audience.
Yes. Tell the audience. So what do y'all feel like as far as like golden era of comedy? Do y'all feel like that exists? Like we hear that in hip hop.
Oh.
And if so, when was it?
The 90s.
90s.
Just like 90s R&B and 90s rap. 90s.
And
the 90s was the best.
And I think the reason why was because there was an explosion of black urban comedy. It was unabashed. It was there.
From all over the country. You got the South meeting guys from the North, and people from the Caribbean meeting guys from England, and it was just like.
And there were like 4 or 5 shows that were just urban comedy shows. You had Def Jam, you had Comic View, you had Uptown, the Uptown Comedy.
Ours was the first on TV.
Uptown, and then
let me tell a quick story.
Right.
Def Jam was birthed from the Uptown Comedy.
Yeah.
They came to my ex-managers for them to partner because they came as the setup for Def Jam is uptown.
Wow.
We were on the stage, everybody's around you.
Right.
They came to say, hey, come down, be down with us. Our managers at the time were just like, nah, we good over here. Dumbest decision ever. And then Def Jam goes on to become
because I remember when they came. I remember when Stan and Russell. I was in there that night. They came to the Comedy Act Theater, and had Robin not passed away, when
he would have been the host.
He would have probably been the host of Def Jam.
Yeah.
And Martin was there was a second choice.
Right.
And no disrespect to what Martin did.
Yeah.
Martin made the show, but Robin passed away and gave Martin an opportunity. But the explosion of Black comedy, because there was the Comedy Act Theater opened another club in Atlanta, and then he had one in Chicago, and then there were that became Black Nights. Yeah. The Fat Tuesdays, the Ha Ha Cafe, Chocolate Sundays, all those things were birthed out of that era, and now. There's no explosion of comedy like that now. It's kind of if you're not doing internet sketches in 60 minutes for the gram, and it's different.
There was comedy everywhere. I mean, I was doing shows. God rest his soul, man. Jimmy Mack, Tracy Morgan, all of us. We would go up to where Jimmy Mack was from, his hometown.
Which is where?
It was not Nyack. It was upstate somewhere. Going upstate somewhere.
Right.
I forget the actual city. New Rochelle or something like that. It might have been New Rochelle. We go up there. It's me. It's Artie Fuqua. It's Tracy Morgan.
I think Tracy Morgan.
All of us.
I opened for Tracy and I did a show together at the Comedy Club of Greenbelt.
This is what this was like. So we literally in a. When you say you're going to the, your mom back in the day on the East Coast said, I'll be at the after hour spot. This shit was an after hour spot. They had about 20 chairs in there. We were doing comedy, and the wire from the mic was coming through where the kitchen was. So we standing there, we couldn't move no more than 3 feet left or 3 feet right. We up here, man. I never forget that, man. But it was such a thirst and hunger for Black comedy. We was doing it anywhere. There was a place in Queens called Manhattan Proper. It was the Drug Dealer Central. It was literally the Peppermint Lounge Junior.
Wow.
Because if you went there and you wasn't funny, they was going to throw stuff at you, and then they was going to kick your ass after.
That's hilarious.
I mean, everywhere. Outside of the Staples, they started doing, there was a restaurant in New York called BBQs. They were doing comedy out of BBQs. Right. And then Rob Stapleton had something up in the Bronx, and this one here, like
what you got?
Salsa con Fuego. Yeah. Yes, and that's still going. And I don't know if it's the same spot, but there was comedy everywhere. And I think that's how I stayed sharp. Because I performed, I did 2 to 3 shows a night. I could walk away at the end of the week and I'm at $4,500, $5,500 cash.
Yeah, New York.
New York designed that. Yeah,
it was crazy.
LA, you can walk out with a nice $45.
You can walk out with a nice $50
or some chicken wings.
And you only got them for half price.
Yeah. Drink ticket. Here's a drink.
But I will admit the one thing about LA back in the day was there were rooms where you could go and work, and I know if you couldn't work, this was a lot of the comics in LA where, man, I got a room in a basement. We would start a comedy room. I know I started about 4 or 5 myself.
Buddy had a rush hour traffic room.
Yeah, it was
at 5 o'clock.
In the Mayan downtown, it was called that rush hour comedy hour.
Wow.
And what I would do was have comedy from 5 to 7. And if you got off of work, beat the traffic, you'd come to my comedy room. Man, that was hot until they closed the Mayan.
Oh, man.
I mean, and it goes in waves out here, right? Because you guys had more spots. When I got here, it was the open mics were big.
Right.
Like you could find time, but it was an open mic. You could literally do 5 or 6 open mics in a day and then get good by the end of the week. You got a whole new 7-10 minutes.
We had open mics back in the day. There was just a natural fudge, and some of the open mic rooms were hosted. This was the funny thing back when we started. The open mic rooms always had like one celebrity, stupid star comic would be in there. Like you go in there and Ronaldo Ray is hosting Itsy Bitsies, on the corner.
Ronaldo Ray.
I'm telling you, man, all these guys had rooms. That you could go. I mean, we used to do the Natural Fudge, which is the vegan room over next to the Scientology building.
Wow.
Ronaldo Ray. Him and George Wallace were going at it one time. He told George Wallace that his mama was so poor. Sorry, you guys, I have a candy bar in my mouth. He said they got to jack the dog off to feed the cat.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh.
Rust in power.
Yeah, Ronaldo Ray. Let me tell you something, man. Was and I remember we did the Uptown Comedy Club, and I got to shout out Kevin and Andre Brown because they did something that was unheard of at that time. We were shooting a TV show right in the center of Harlem. We had white agents. That's how I got my agent. My old agent, Ruth Ann Secunda from UTA.
Mm-hmm.
She got in a cab. Came up there. It was filled with white CAA, all these agents. That's how hot black comedy was. And I give a shout out to them because of the training that we had. I know it taught me and got me prepared. And they did something monumental, man. Like there was no show shooting out of the actual club where, every night you having comedy. And when we did the TV show, we got Paul Mooney. He was the head writer. On the show. Rest in power. Paul, that was.
We've named quite a few dead people tonight.
No, it's crazy. Every minute I'm like, rest in peace. Wow, it's crazy.
Right.
And I remember he had his I would call her his get around friend, Suzanne Suter.
Oh yeah, La Boca.
He would be right with him. But
I can't do no more.
He would come in there and he was supposed to write. He'd be sending that. Go get me a fifth. Give me a fifth of Jack Daniels. Like, and then he was making so much money, but it was just like, oh, you niggas got it. You figure it out. Like it was hilarious. And I'm in awe. I'm sitting there. I'm like, yo, this is Paul Mooney, and I don't know, maybe it's corny or whatever, but I just always look at somebody like that. Like I get to work with them. Even like Max Julian, rest his soul. I had the opportunity to get him on one-on-one. I watched the Mac all the time doing the show. I said, yo, we got to get him on the show. Got him on the show. We created a beautiful friendship. Didn't get to speak to him before. But, to me, that means everything, man. It means everything. But long-winded story. But I just want to give the Brown brothers major credit for what they did in black comedy and comedy in general. Because Jim Brewer came out of there, Rob McNaughty, J.B. Smooth, Tracy Morgan. I was there when Tracy Morgan walked in the door.
Right.
Who else? Dougie Doug. Dougie Doug was the one who kicked it all off, Maceo.
Right.
Oh my gosh, like so many people came through that club, man, and I'll never forget that.
I throwing shouts out, man. That's why I throw a shout out to Michael Williams because he did the same thing out here on the West Coast, man. That the Comedy Act Theater. All of the people that got their start in that room, with Joe Torre, DL, Robin Harris, that room really made a lot of folk, so, and then the club in Atlanta built up a lot of those comics down there, Chris Tucker and Don DC Curry, they all worked Angie Means, they all worked in Atlanta, Arnez, Jay, so, there are a lot of people, comedy is owed. A lot of black comedy is owed to some specific people, who helped start the game, and
definitely
we can go on with the, Bomb Subners and Tina Graham.
Oh, yeah. Tina, really, Bob. Yeah.
So
definitely, man.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We ought to get a debt of gratitude to those folks.
He can't get his words right.
Yeah, I know.
You can't get it right.
You're going to say grits of that.
Grits. I was looking at the candy.
But so we're winding up now. Because I know you got to get out of here, Chris, but I have question I always like to ask our guests. What would this Chris say to younger Chris, fresh out of college, hungry, excited, looking forward to whatever it is?
Work on your golf game.
Stardom, career, whatever. what advice would you give your younger self?
So I had an opportunity to do two things to make money. Do audience warm-up. And I let my manager talk me out of it because he was like, producers are going to be watching you and they're going to think you're only a warm-up. And I know quite a few people who did audience warm-up and went on to be very successful. Mm-hmm. That was one. Then I had an opportunity to go do NACA.
Oh, yes.
And I saw all these guys making all this money doing college gigs and really fine-tuning their stand-up. And I didn't do that. And then I would have got on the road. I was on the road early, but it was opening for big acts. Mm-hmm. So I never developed I never went through the system of becoming a headliner in the comedy clubs the way other people did because I would go do a theater with Jeff Foxworthy and Damon Wayans and Chris Rock. And it was never Chris Spencer at Yuck Yucks in Toronto or, the Laugh Pickle in Des Moines. And so I think I'd be further along as a comedian had I done that. And so I regret a little bit. I regret that I didn't do that and grow in the stand-up world and build myself up to be this selling out headliner that could always work for the rest of my life because whether I'm on TV or doing a movie or writing, Chris Spencer goes to Detroit, people are going to buy tickets because he's been coming through here for 20 years and we like him.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel with especially going back when I think about running with Dave and this one and that one and opening for Martin, like had I just stayed in that, you know what I mean? It would just
because we got TV early too.
TV early.
We got TV shows
TV before a lot of people.
And we're like, you know what? I'll wait till the money is right when my show becomes a hit.
Right.
Which yours became a hit. I just got hit.
But that's the trade-off, right? Because a lot of road comics or people whose names are in those clubs could not translate over to TV.
Me, I talk to them and they go, "You don't want to be where I am. Yeah. Like I would love to be home.
50 weekends a year."
So let me ask you this one. I like to reverse it. In the mind of, if you could just go back to the mind of a 20-year-old Chris, what would you tell this Chris now to be prepared for, or just concentrate on or focus on now?
What would 20-year-old Chris tell 54-year-old Chris?
If you in your 20-year-old mind thinking down the road saying like, man, you know what? Be prepared for this, do that, or don't skip over this opportunity or do everything that you can. I mean, in that mindset.
I think take more chances with my act. Louis C.K., we were just talking about earlier, and you can feel any way you want about him, but his stand-up is brilliant. I was talking to him about editing, right? And I was like, when did you know that you could just say whatever you wanted? He goes, first of all, never edit. He goes, those things you go, I shouldn't say that, are the things you should say, right? He said, and this is just white boy stuff that we can't say. I would never say. I don't think anybody in this room is saying our audiences aren't like this, but he said the joke was when he said to the audience, he asked them, which tower, when the towers are going down, which one did you start jacking off on? Was it the first tower or the second tower?
I remember that. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Can't do that at the Comedy Union.
We ain't doing that.
I'm sorry, buddy. You wanted to say something before we wrap?
Nah.
When did you jack off? Which tower?
Both. I just, I wanted to ask Chris, quick question, man. When he's talking about what is it you want to do now, where's the next step for Chris Spencer? What's the next big thing for you?
Well, I got a couple big things happening this year. Real Husbands is coming back February 10th.
Yes, nice.
Right?
Nice.
I directed a feature. My first feature that young Buddy Lewis is starring in because he made me.
You damn right. Yes. I'm gonna ride you, Chris. You gonna go somewhere and I'm going with you.
What's the name of the film and who's
It's called Back on the Strip. It's basically like the full Monty meets Magic Mike.
In black.
And it's about these male exotic dancers, strippers. They get back together to help this woman save her club and hotel. And
wait, buddy, you a stripper in this? Or?
No.
Come on, see it, Kennelia. You want to see that.
Bill Bellamy.
That was the first thing you thought about.
Bill Bellamy.
JB Smoove, Gary Owen. I'm talking. See, that's and that's why I'm gonna get Arnaz to play his role next time. Gary Owen, Wesley Snipes, Tiffany Haddish, and Kevin Hart came and gave me a day.
Nice.
And then some young, incredible actors: Spence Moore, Ryan Alexander.
You said Flex out? No,
Ryan.
I'm just messing with you.
Flex still be looking at me. Every time I mention the movie, be like, "Nigga, I was there when you sold
That's
it."
my cousin. Ryan is my cousin. Oh no!
So great. So Real Husbands, you got a movie coming out, and then special shooting in June.
In June,
yes,
18-minute special coming in June.
What is the name of your special? Have you named it yet?
I've had a couple different thoughts.
No, tell them the one. Go ahead. Tell them the one.
Through Chris, all things are possible.
I love that.
I think it's great because of us and we do each other stuff. But people in Iowa are like, what did nigga do for me?
But if you explain it, if you talk it through.
So, no more. I don't know. I don't know what the title is quite yet. I've played with some titles. Mm-hmm. I was thinking Raw, and then somebody else did it.
Yeah. Bullshit, they did.
Yeah. Live on Sunset Strip, somebody did that. So I'm working through some things.
Oh, man. Well, thank you, man. Thank you for stopping through, Chris.
Sticks and Stones.
Delirious. Can't do that one. Tell everybody where they can follow you.
You can if you're outside, you can follow me to the Ha Ha Cafe where I'm late to do a set. But I'm on Instagram, The Real Chris Spencer. Facebook, I guess, Chris Spencer. And for those of you who just got out of jail, MySpace, Chris Spencer.
They got phones in jails. They online.
They online.
TikTok,
yeah.
Snapchat. You can find me.
Buddy Lewis, where can everybody find you?
The bathroom in about 20 minutes.
AOL Voices.
MSN.com.
I've been banned off Instagram, so you can't find me there. But Buddy Lewis on Facebook, Buddy Lewis Jokes on Facebook and on Twitter. So
you can find me at Kennelia on social media. Also, I have my own podcast where I only talk about news involving Black people called Black News. That's on all apps where podcasts can be heard. And check my website. Got shows in the area.
Yeah. You can follow me at Flex A For Real on Instagram, on TikTok, Twitch, and Flex Alexander on Facebook. Thank you for hanging with us right here on the Flex Zone. All in. We'll see you next week. Have a good one. Be safe.
Peace.
Bye.
Peace. Hood music.
Bye.
And we're
Need a pencil.